We'll be back from the break and let's continue with sports business here as you are watching a Smart 24 TV. But just a quick reminder for you that your investment journey can easily be kicked off with Zabu. Zabu, which is a platform by Altex East Africa, says my money, my future. So you can use the USSD code *292# and kickstart off your investment journey today. These markets are open at 8:15 a.m. and close off at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. And with that opportunity, you will be able to rise with your investment journey. Zabu is a platform by Altex East Africa that reminds you to do something new always. And the only good thing that you can do today is quickly look into your investment journey. 15,000 Uganda shillings or more is the amount that you can definitely use to invest in bonds and securities. The markets are only closed on public holidays and during the weekends, but the rest of the days you'll be able to invest. Zabu, my money, my future, powered by Altex East Africa, which says do something new. And well, with that particular situation, let's get into sports business this morning. And now with sports business, we kickstart it off with Cricket Australia, as Cricket Australia has striked a 1.5 billion Australian dollar extension with Foxtel and 7 legal action withdrawn. Now, when you look at the Cricket Australia extended its domestic media rights agreement with pay television operator Foxtel and commercial broadcaster 7 in deals which are worth a total of 1.5 billion Australian dollars. That is approximately 1 billion US dollars, or roughly 954.4 million euros over the 7 seasons from 2024 to 2025 up to 2030 to 2031. So the Ashes and all those particular series of cricket within Australia will now be under pay television operator Foxtel, and the commercial broadcaster behind this entire deal is 7 in, and that is in regards to this particular situation to do with Australian cricket. And also on the other hand, legal action has been withdrawn from the country of Australia. Now, away from Australia, we head to the English Premier League, where Manchester United has signed a financial deal with Do Group. And this particular financial trading deal by Manchester United is to facilitate more of what is happening in regards to football and the club's journey to earn more money. So Manchester United announced a multi-year global sponsorship deal with the online financial trading platform Do Group, which is headquartered in Singapore. Now, Do Group will become Manchester United's official online financial trading partner. The company's various brands, including Do Financial and Do Prime, will be promoted by Manchester United as part of the agreement. Manchester United currently having sponsors in TeamViewer as its front shirt sponsor, but of course has got more other sponsors in the team that continue to help it out. Now, this particular one is a multi-year global sponsorship deal with the online financial trading platform Do Group. Now, this Do Group is headquartered in Singapore and will become Manchester United's official online sponsor and financial trading partner. That is in regards to the financial market space. You should look at that. Now, the company has various brands, including Do Financial and then the Do Prime, which will all be promoted by Manchester United as part of the agreement. Now, yesterday night, Manchester United did win their particular Premier League encounter with Bournemouth 3-0, and of course maintain their spot in the top 4 this particular season with that win at Old Trafford, and of course continuing to definitely perform so well after the World Cup break. Now, lastly, from sports business, we head to Italy, where AS Roma has signed with Albi Resorts on a deal that will definitely see that Albi Resorts will be at the back of the shirt for Roma. Now, on the other hand, the Italian Serie A club has signed the back of the shirt sponsorship deal with luxury hotel and resorts group Albit Resorts Collections. Now, this branding position was previously held by the South Korean car company Hyundai under an initial deal from 2018 to 2019, from 2018-2019 season to 2020 to 2021, plus a one-year extension signed for the 2021 to 2022 season. Now, apparently, the back of the sharp deal that has been signed is by Albit Resorts Collection that AS Roma has granted the opportunity. So you can easily see teams are trying to get more sponsors on board as the season is actually in the middle of it, and so they want to continue getting some good money despite of the fact that the season is likely to be very tricky, and the mere fact that it's in the transfer window, teams will still need to adjust and buy more players and add to the depth of the squad. So AS Roma is now basically going hard on getting more sponsors into this. Now, the other sponsor is the luxury and hotel collection, that is Albit collection, and that is the Albit Resorts Collection, which has been attached to this particular one from AS Roma. And of course, that is what you will definitely be experiencing. Well, more of the transfer madness and transfer news will definitely be coming your way here on Sports Business. I will be breaking down for you any deal that has been signed and sealed by most of the teams. But with that, we now come to an end of Sports Business this morning. And now, with sports business coming to the end, we cross over to entertainment business with Barija Andrew, who is already in to give us more of what is coming in from the entertainment world. Barija, good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I'm actually doing very, very great, Jorum. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing fine and all that. What do we have in the entertainment this morning?
Well, Jorum, I want to surprise you with something today. You know, remember yesterday when you asked me a question about what are those movies that we anticipate to make money? And it was just a few hours later, I went to a certain website. I don't know whether these people actually are listening. We are streaming into SMB, and they had already listed a list of movies anticipated come 2023 that are likely actually to make quite lots of amounts of money, and people should actually really watch them out. And that and more is coming up in the business and entertainment this particular morning. All right, now getting straight officially into the business and entertainment, just to give you a brief highlight of what we really anticipate this morning, we shall be looking at the Warner Brothers Discovery agreement with audience. Of course, the audience measurement deal with Startup Nelson. Of course, that's a rival company for Video Amp, and this is meant, of course, to understand the audiences, and this data will be given to their potential advertisers, of course, to make the right decision. This is to attach value that's to the advertisement. Then we shall wind up the business and entertainment as we look through the anticipated movies for 2023. And here we are much interested to understand how much, what's the movie budget for these particular movies, and what do we anticipate regarding this. And definitely we do this to inspire the local scene to really understand how profitable and how best you can actually make the movie business. How movies can actually be a very potential business for you as an investor right there. So getting straight to that, we'll start with Warner Brothers Discovery signing an audience measure deal that's with the Startup Nelson, which is a rival company for Video Amp. Warner Brothers Discovery has signed a deal with Video Amp to measure its audience. That's as an alternative means for data for advertisers. Advertisers, the companies that's announced on Tuesday. Remember, Warner Brothers Discovery joined the partnership has lasted for now quite a year. It was, of course, established late last year, that was the previous year. That was 2021. Yes, 2021 before 2022. The agreement between Warner Brothers and Discovery being one, and it's been a 1 year. Of course, a way of trying to be into this partnership, trying to see how things are really going to transpire. But you know what this means? It means that there is increased amounts of money, of course, spent on content and of course creation. So remember, Warner Brothers has quite a number of a conglomerate of channels, networks, and they did this purposely to ensure that there is a wide range of content created for their viewers. Just like you see Disney and having ESPN, which is a sports channel. So the same applies to Warner Brothers Discovery. We know that Warner Brothers is much into the movies, but then when we look at the channels under Discovery, they're much into investigative. There is the aspect of discovering geographical and so many other aspects. And this was something done to really increase on the content right there. So still further, as I go through this report, we see that the contract is a significant moment. That's for Video Amp and startup advertising measurement platform that has recently been growing its list of clients that's ahead of the measurement this year. Probably I would request my producer to be displaying what I'm talking about, so that you can really have an idea of what we say when we say a video amp, a measurement of customers. I would request my producer to put for you on the split there, and you have a look at that. So the deal also gives Warner Brothers Discovery another data set to provide for advertisers at a time when the industry is actually considering alternatives to legacy measurement firm. Now, this is something very interesting. We come to realize that today traditional advertisers are skeptical about traditional, TV programming, and because majority of the people have actually went to streaming, and some of the advertisers are trying to ask themselves, when we invest these huge sums of money onto these platforms, are the viewers really potential customers for what we are advertising? So, video. When I talk about Video Amp. Actually, Nielsen. It's a company. It's called Startup Nielsen. It measures the value of the audience of a channel. So when an advertiser is coming to actually give that media a channel business, they'll first visit this platform and they will get to understand the audiences that are actually viewing your media. So the advertisers will base on that, on what they have observed, to make a decision on how much money they are going to actually give you when it comes to paying for advertisements. So that's how far technology has gone, and that's how far investments, different ventures that are coming up into the media industry, the entertainment industry. So as a Ugandan right there, you get to realize that there are quite lots of space you can actually occupy here. It's not a must that you have to be into the production or everywhere. You can be on quite so many, because media is also part of entertainment, because the two of them coexist together. One cannot exist without the other. So there is quite lots of space. So imagine having such an alternative whereby advertisers have guarantee of the value of the money that they are putting that's into your media, and they are really very sure that that money is going to come back. So Warner Brothers Discovery signing an agreement with Nielsen to ensure that is common. And lately, since the revenues have not really come out as yet, because as we speak, on an estimation, Warner Brothers Discovery, ever since the merger, currently the money that they spent on content collection annually, let me say, is about 3 to 4 billion US dollars. So that's quite a lot of money, and this is versatile content. It's not content just relying on only movies. It's very versatile regarding that. So still further on this report, we see that the firms like Nielsen and Video Amp offer audiences, that's audience estimates and data that TV networks and streamers used to sell, of course, slots for commercials. You get to understand that. So Nielsen's measurement, that track system is based on a panel of approximately 40,000 households that allow it to track what they watch. You see that? Video Amp bases its data on login information from devices. Wow. So each platform has a criteria in which they operate. There is one which bases on, like when it's giving the advertisers data, they will depend on the households that are actually viewing that media, the media that you're putting there. Then another will depend on the login into the accounts. Like now this comes back to streaming, because even despite that streaming is limiting advertisement, there are always slots for advertisers. And of course, some go for free, don't want advertisement, but there is that slot for advertisement. So another part considers how many people log into your platform. your streaming platform to actually watch whatever they are watching. So you get to understand how very, very interesting this data can be very beneficial to the entertainment world. And, so now in Uganda, think about that. That's something that you can actually venture in there and you have a look at that. But remember, I know you can say that in Uganda, our market is not yet really to the standards or reaching that perspective, but I don't think that should be a limiting factor. That shouldn't really stop you to really get where you're heading. Because now we are looking at the East African community, a wide range of opportunities. There are quite many media channels in East Africa. We can always think about such developments. We think of like gadgets, softwares that can actually determine, give actual numbers of data to the advertisers so that they can value the money that they invest into the media channels. Because it's been found out that actually some of the channels are hyped, the views are just hyped. But when in reality, when you reach out on ground, it's not what really is there. So when you have such an information app, such an information platform that is going to provide such information to the advertisers, then the value will determine. And that will also, in a way, lead to equal distribution, because sometimes it's really unfair that advertisement rights, like most of the advertisements, go on to certain channels and they become monopolists into the media industry, which outcompetes others. And, others end up closing down in a way, simply because one channel was simply hyped. But if we can know that if numbers can speak, because these applications will always track the record of viewership. It could be on a monthly basis, it could be on a 2-month basis. So Warner Brothers Discovery has signed that deal, and I believe that is going to be something very essential. And there has been quite lots of pressure on the company, I believe, by the time they come up to sign over this, because not only Warner Brothers Discovery is facing a crisis in Hollywood, quite lots of other companies are facing this crisis. So this pressure has really influenced them in a way that they have ended up moving down to sign an agreement, so that with Video Amp and Warner Brothers, as you can see just right there, as my producer just has displayed it, that's the perfect combination of these companies coming up together. Okay, now away from Warner Brothers Discovery, now we come to the end of the business and entertainment as we preview the anticipated movie for 2023. Yesterday, we were reviewing the movies that were making money by the end of 2022, but today now we're doing something different. We want to start the year in style, for the movie fans out there, as we see what are those movies that we anticipate to make quite lots of money. We've seen last year being quite a little bit tricky, despite the fact that Avatar broke it all by grossing a certain amount of money that wasn't really, it was something that called, it's like a nice the post-COVID, and you can make $1 billion in 14, 16 days. That is something really very, very captivating. So now we are trying to understand, what is 2023 like? Let's share a picture for 2023. Movies have been released, trailers, of course, already out there, and producers have actually put in money, the movie makers, the executive producers. And now the question is that money going to come back? I believe Avatar gave them quite a little bit of, hope that things are going to get a little bit much more better. But then I would also speak for my Ugandan movie makers here. We can pick something from here. And of course, you can present to us what you really think your movies for Uganda will be like. I believe it will be quite a great opportunity. Now, heading straight to the movies globally, and definitely these movies shall be showcasing in the cinemas across East Africa, across Uganda, across the world at large, and people will be really waiting for them. So, number one on our list is the Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yes, that's come 2023. It's one of the movies that is really anticipated to make quite lots of money. I would request my producer to be giving us some of these trailers as we speak about these movies. Ant-Man 3 is produced by Kevin Feige and Steven Browsford and the Marvel Studios. It is said to be on a budget of $200 million US dollars. Wow, interesting. Ant-Man right there, the one you're viewing on your screen. It is a budget of $200 million US dollars. That's in Indian, actually, these were Indian rupees. They're trying to compare that, but I'm not interested in that for now. But what you need to understand that this movie, the budget estimation is $200 million. Now, looking about, the film is edited by Adam, that's Gastel, and Laura Jennings, and it has music by Christoph Beck. Now, just a little bit of the plot. Scott Lang is grappling with consequences of his choices as both a superhero and a father. Approached by Hope and Van Dyne and Dr. Hank Pym, Lang must once again don the Ant-Man and of course and fight alongside the Wasp. Wow, very interesting line. The urgent mission soon leads to secret revelations from the past as the dynamic duo finds itself in an epic battle against a powerful new enemy. If you are really a fan of physics, the concept here was that they tapped into the quantum realm. You know, when I talk about the quantum realm, that's really actual physics. And you know, $200 million budget. So first look at the graphics and you know what is being put in there. All that is quite very expensive. And this February, we anticipate this movie that will be coming out. So the anticipation is that it will actually make much more money to outbid its budget. Because the question is, will these movies, of course, profit against the production budgets? Will the producers be in position to recover their money as a result of releasing these movies? So Ant-Man is on the watch list, sorry. Of course, across the world, across the theaters in Uganda, also East Africa, like I told you, Africa at large. Let's see how the box office ticket sales will perform for Ant-Man come 2023. Now, away from Ant-Man, now we head to another movie that we anticipate that is going to make quite lots of money. Guess what? That is Expendables Part 4. It's coming out next year. A very interesting storyline. And of course, we've watched the previous Expendable movies and we've seen how they have been performing. So this time around, we're asking ourselves, what's the plot going to be like? Now, sometimes these plots are not really anticipated. They're not really put out there for some purposes right there, but maybe we can talk about the Expendables a little bit, as we see that the Expendables will feature actors familiar to the franchise and quite a few new faces. Wow. Like previously released films in the franchise, Sylvester Stallone's character of Buddy Ross will take center stage as the leader of the Expendables mercenary band. And of course, we see that Jason Statham, Dolph Lundgren, and Randy Couture will also be returning as key members of Ross's entourage. The movie budget is estimated at $100 million US. The Expendables 2 was the most profitable theatrically thus far, so the people hope that the fourth film will be able to return to the precedent. Now, if you're to look at Expendables Part 2, which actually had Jean-Claude Van Damme, the likes of Scott Adkins, amongst all the Expendables franchise, has been the most profitable. And I would actually say, yeah, it was right, because if actually you've watched it, you can witness what I'm talking about. It was a very, very, very profitable movie at that time. The content, the storyline was just so on point. And this is what we keep emphasizing. That's for the Ugandan movie makers to ensure that you can make these stories really very catchy. And this will be able to attract money right there. So $100 million budget, that's Expendables. So how much money will it make? Let's wait and see how it will perform in the theaters, as you will be actually going to buy these tickets. But now the ultimate question is, what's the plot like? You know, Expendables 1 was a little bit, you know, it was an anticipation. Of course, there was this whole thing saying that, you know, there is a movie coming up and it's going to feature all these actors that are known into these other action movies. Well, but it didn't really get that much attention as I expected. 2 grossed quite lots of money. I think it was about $500 million US and above. 3 was a little bit average. It wasn't really given that much attention. But now 4, and actually this is the most expensive Expendables franchise in which man has been allocated onto $100 million US. So let's wait and see how it's gonna show up at the end of the day. Now, lastly, okay, not the last really, on the movies that we anticipate to make quite lots of money this year, 2023, is John Wick. John Wick Chapter 4 is back. Wow, a very interesting movie right there that I believe you would be interested to check it out. Of course, distributed by the Lionsgate Production, one of the companies that made this movie. And the movie budget is estimated at $90 million US. Wow, it may be the cheapest budget actually amongst all these movies I've mentioned. but the effects are really so in class at some point. Now, if we are to look at the economic history of this particular movie, we see that with the price, that's okay. This is just a little bit on like regarding its financial history. We see that all the 4 John Wick films have opened. Of course, will open in widely various parts of the calendar. John Wick debuted in October. That's the first version we had. Chapter 1, that was in 2014, with surprisingly strong $14 million debut before earning 43 million. That's 43 million US dollars domestic and 88 million worldwide, and on a 30 million budget. Wow. So the first movie debuted 14 million sales. That was in America. Globally, it sold 88 million US dollars, but the budget was 30 million. So the first John Wick movie had a budget of 30 million. This one has a budget of 90 million US dollars. So of course we anticipate the best from out of that. So chapter 2 was classic breakout sequel, opening amid a crowded February. That was in 2017. That's on the same weekend as the Lego Batman and 50 Shades of Darker, with a $30 million before ledging out to 92 million domestic and 172 million worldwide on a 40 million budget. Now, the second John Wick chapter had a budget of 40 million. It sold 172 million copies globally. So I come to realize that when I track the financial history of John Wick, every version that comes out is selling much more and more. So what do we anticipate? And every year, they keep on increasing the budget of each John Wick movie that is being put out there. You know, from $30 million, the first one, the second was about 40 million US dollars. Now, coming to the third, which also I think was within 50 million or 60, but now chapter 4 has been hiked up to 90 million US dollars. So what do we anticipate? How is it going to be like? I'm thinking, definitely, we still can't wait to see what the storyline will be like. Then lastly on my list for the movies that we anticipate to make quite lots of money this year is, of course, a legendary movie which everybody talks about. And when I talk about it, it won't be for the first time you hear about this movie. And that's none other than Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones. Wow. That is very interesting. And of course, it's a very catchy, adventurous movie, of course, with quite lots of magic. And a very interesting storyline about the ancient, how really life operates regarding the spirituality and other worlds at large. So this movie, amongst all the movies we've done, is estimated, though they have not really disclosed out the budget as yet, because sometimes marketing is included on the budget, and they're still really doing aggressive marketing for this particular movie to ensure that it can actually sell out quite lots of money. But it's estimated on a budget of about 150 million US dollars, and it's always been performing quite well. And I believe even this particular year, people will be in position to storm the theaters to actually watch this movie. And now we've come to the end of the entertainment news, business and entertainment this morning, trying to understand what are those movies we anticipate to make quite lots of money. Back to you, Jorum.
Let's on the entertainment business this morning. When we do return after the break, I do have the insight coming up, and then later on shortly we'll be returned with the SMB on ground. Stick around.